family leader is a religious defense of their version of marriage organization, akin to the National Organization for Marriage. They've determined that they will not endorse any political candidate for higher office until that candidate signs their Declaration of Dependence on Marriage and Family. Michelle Bachmann couldn't dip her pen in the company ink fast enough. What is this document, you ask? This document, roughly 4 pages, including about 2 pages of very small footnotes, includes 1 page of a declaration expressing certain viewpoints that the candidate must agree to, and a 2nd page of vows or promises that candidate will promise to uphold. The introduction to the Declaration of Nonsense states that faithful monogamy is at the very heart of a designed and purposeful order, as conveyed by Jewish and Christian scripture, by classical philosophers, by natural law, and by the American founders, upon which our concepts of creator-endowed human rights, racial justice, and gender equality all depend. I have a huge problem with this paragraph on too many levels to mention at one time, but I'll go for the biggie. This statement from the family leader assumes and states plainly and erroneously that their creator is my creator. I do understand that they aren't asking me to sign the document. I wouldn't make it past the threshold of their church outside the scope of a Pray the Gay Away meeting. But they are asking people in a position of power in this country to take a stand that their idea of creator should be the only one recognized by the government. The very last part of their statement is completely false. Equality obviously has nothing to do with their version of creator or mine. Equality under the law means simply that everyone is equal. Everyone has the same right to pursue happiness or be miserable. And if that pursuit of happiness or misery means loving someone of the same gender or an opposite gender for 10 minutes or 20 years, so be it. The founding fathers they mention in their declaration included several slave owners, so I doubt seriously if racial justice had even entered their minds. I doubt also that gay rights entered their minds, but if we're going to use this as a reason to not visit the issues of marriage equality now, we need to reverse every civil right ever granted to an African American or a woman for the past 100 years or so. They were not included in the Creator's plan as given to the prophet leaders of an infant nation either. This declaration goes on for several more paragraphs, complete with bullet points manipulated to prove their point. And while a 2nd page is a list of promises they're asking individual politicians to make. For instance, they ask for a vow of fidelity to one's spouse and a promise that they will not lead someone else's spouse away from their marriage. Michelle Bachmann may not have a problem with this, but a lot of politicians do. And if they do, signing a document for an evangelical organization for the sole purposes of gaining their endorsement is not going to change their behavior. It's like asking criminals to abide by the same gun control laws as the rest of us. They also ask for a vow to vigorously oppose any change to the definition of institution of marriage, which they have concluded means one man and one woman. Now, they also go after polygamists here and make mention of Sharia law and polygamy several times throughout the course of the document. The candidate must promise to embrace a marriage amendment to the Constitution, basically saying that the United States government will only recognize male-female one-on-one relationships. They must promote laws that would protect our servicemen and women, specifically those in combat, from unwanted advances from those horrible gay soldiers who will be cruising the showers and the bathrooms in hopes of gaining gay points for converting their fellow soldiers. They must promote the idea that women should never be in combat because we must protect them from the filthy savages who are our enemies, who will rape and torture them. Of course, the guys are at risk too, so maybe we should just surrender now and hire a Saddam Hussein lookalike to run Iraq. And of course, they must promise to protect American children from sex slavery and human traffickers, as well as pornographers, prostitution, infanticide, abortion, and seduction into promiscuity. Darn, I thought it was the role of all Americans to make absolutely certain that our daughters became sex slaves and house slaves. And porn stars. My bad. Why would they include a passage like this if not to imply that gay people are the root of all evils in the world? Here is another possibility that this document covers so much ground mixed in with the issue of marriage equality. A politician uses his common sense even if he is not in favor of marriage equality and does not sign something that indicates members of the LGBT community are purely predatory. Now their opponents, as well as this organization supported by many churches around the country, can actively campaign against that candidate on the platform that they are not in favor of protecting marriage. Another bone of contention a politician might have in this document is that they make a statement that robust procreation, and that's a quote, should be the norm and will actually help the country. Most families are not the Duggars, and having robust families is a drain on personal economies, even if those grown children will someday line the church coffers. We're having a huge problem with Social Security right now. The baby boomers are getting older, so I agree that we should probably create a second wave of baby boomers immediately. Well, this brings me to the overall offensive cadence of the documents as a whole. Sure, they've put in a few statements that most of us can agree on. Children should not be kidnapped and sold into slavery or taken advantage of by pornographers. The family leaders' intentions for this document, first and foremost, are an anti-marriage equality document. The fact that they have included in this inference that gay people are predators and unworthy of being in happy, committed relationships and most decidedly unworthy of being parents is horribly offensive to me. Michelle Bachmann has long been held in the political arena as a farce. She makes stupid statements, and the mainstream media laughs at her. Her constituency, however, is based in the firmly Christian, evangelical demographic who strike back when they're frightened. Michelle Bachmann makes them feel less afraid. She scares everything but the lesbian pagan out of me.